When I was doing my Erasmus year in Leicester, and I made friends with lots of different international people. And of course we had to communicate in English, I would speak English to kind of get to know people. And it was a very enriching and great experience to actually develop a personality in a foreign language. It's exhausting in a way at first, to kind of like always having to think about what you're saying a little bit more than when you would use your native language. However, you adapt very, very quickly, and then you just, the words just come out of your mouth, and you don't really have to think about it anymore, and you're just communicating in English with a foreign accent, which is still there, and it's still good. You come from a certain place, and your language reveals that, so that's great. So English was very, very important for me when I was in Leicester, because that was kind of like the way to meet other people. And I got to know lots of different foreign accents, so my ability to kind of like detect accents and also to understand foreign accents really improved. I always found that English is much more precise as a language, especially when you write. English, you just go for it, you hit the point straight away, whereas in German you circle a point and then you come close and then you move away again. So German has lots of very long and winding sentences, whereas English is straight to the point, short sentence, say what you mean, and that's it. So I always appreciated English for that, I have to say. And sometimes it was even difficult for me to write in German, because I really enjoyed writing in English so much. So kind of turned around at a certain level, and I preferred writing in my non-native language, I suppose.
My mom made me learn English very early when I was about like 5, because she thought it was pretty important. And I always enjoyed it, because I think I can express myself more in English than in German. German is a very monotone language, and English is more with ups and downs, and I don't know how to explain that, but I feel comfortable in speaking with English, so I love it. Everybody has to have it in high school, so I think we have a really good education, especially in English, but most of them have a really bad accent. I can hear that when I was working at the bar. I just knew that the guys were from Germany because they had those particular accent, which is really funny. But yeah, I don't really have an accent because I went to Canada 2 times for student exchanges, and well, I'm passionate about English, so I guess I don't really have that much of a German accent.
I've been told by a friend that you've been living in England, but you've never picked the accent. And I say, yeah. Probably because I don't want to be in the shoes of somebody whom I don't know. Yeah, so I prefer to relax in my accent, because when I speak, people hear. So I don't see why I should change it. Yeah, it's become, I think, a style people are adopting. Like the youth in my country would love to behave like Americans with their jeans coming off, and also speaking with their hands for sign languages and stuff. And I don't see it attractive. And the person who was asking me about this, even though he doesn't want his accent to be changed, but he's seen so many people, spoken with so many people who try to say NA and do stuff. So whenever I speak to him and I don't see anything of that sort. So I guess that is the main reason why he said my accent hasn't changed. Why haven't I tried to? If they don't hear me when I speak, that is different. Then you have to work hard to change your accent. But since they hear whatever I want to say to them, I don't think I have a problem.
Well, learning English wasn't that hard for me because my class, and I think every child of my age during that time, we start learning English at the age of 7. We're from a new generation, and so we have a new rule. Like when I was born, the Canadian government was imposing some rules. So like you live in an English country, your kids, yeah, sure, French is gonna be your first language, but they should start learning English as soon as possible. So yeah, it was, for me, it wasn't that difficult, like, because each year I was learning English, so it's really, yeah. And using French as first language, well, it's like in Spain, actually, they have two languages there too, and it doesn't cause any problems. Well, it's the same in Canada. We have two languages, and they coexist mostly perfectly. And I'm quite proud of it, because usually two cultures, two different language can cause a civil war, and we aren't there, so.
So when I finished work and I've got some free time, or at the weekends, I absolutely love to cook. It's a real family passion, and I think it's come not just from my parents, but also from my grandmothers and grandfathers. And as a family, we really love to get together and have big meals. And I think from living in different countries, so I spent some time living in Spain and another bit of time living in Italy, really brought all these different influences into what I love to cook. So whether it's a big pasta filled with meatballs, or whether it's tortilla from Spain, there's all sorts of things that we love to put on the table. And even now, I mean, I talk about recipes in the office with my friends. I'm always going on about food, and I'll be the first one to make a lunch or a dinner appointment instead of going for a coffee. And that has now spread to me making a food blog, in which I get the best recipes that I cook and put them up there, because I was always getting people from the office asking me just the things I brought in for lunch, I mean, what the recipe was, or would be sharing tips. And I thought, why not make it so that people can, rather than me handing it to them on a scrap of paper or photocopying it, why not put it there so that they can download it themselves? It seemed to make sense. I really enjoy the process of blogging, not just because I like the sound of my own voice, but also because I think it's surprisingly relaxing. It's one of the things I really enjoy sitting down and doing in my spare time. So the food blog that I have, I put up recipes, I put up photos, and all those boring things that lots of people love to do. And then I find myself, for example, at my boyfriend's house or at my grandma's, and I haven't got the cookbook that I want with me, or we've got a few ingredients in the fridge and I know I've got a brilliant recipe but I haven't got it there, and I remember that I put something on my blog about it, and I can just go on, download the recipe, take the ingredients list to the shops, and there, it's done.
So we've got an area at the bottom of the garden where we keep a few chickens. The kids can go down and collect the eggs, which is a nice thing for them to do. We just got a cockerel very recently, so summer is probably the worst possible time of year to get a cockerel because it starts getting light this time of year about 4:30. And obviously, as soon as it gets light, then the cockerel's up and telling everybody that he's up and awake. And we did ask the neighbours if it was going to be a problem, and they said no, it's fine. But I think they had slightly gritted teeth when they said that. So the cockerel may have to go back. He's from my parents, because my parents keep chickens as a hobby as well. So that's where the cockerel came from. But yeah, aside from that, we may get a dog sometime soon, or possibly a cat. But at the moment, we just have the chickens.
Music takes up a fair bit of my time. The band tries to practice once a week if we can. We're all fairly busy. We have full-time jobs as well, but we do try and practice as much as possible. We try and have a gig every month if we can. A lot of bands will play every week and just play to 5 people, but we think that's completely pointless. We're never going to get anywhere like that, so we try and get 100 people through the door if we can, and just do it once a month, make it really big, make it a big event. So yeah, I'm constantly listening to music and playing it whenever I have spare time, really. I would say I'm very interested in going to see other people's live music, but it's something that I very rarely have the time for. I don't go to enough festivals or gigs, and I would love to go to more. Part of the reason for that is the cost of doing it. Having said that, there are a number of very, very good open mic nights and cheap nights or free nights all around London. It's just a matter of knowing where they are and finding the time to do it, and it's something that I would like to do more of.
I'm interested in fashion since, I don't know, not long ago. I started like a couple of years ago. I'm not quite sure actually, just developed kind of. I think it's very, I don't know how to explain that, but you can express yourself in like what you wear, and like you feel comfortable in what you wear. So, and I started looking at blogs and got interested in designers, and started having my own blog, and it's just it's a nice way to show everyone how you are, and like to yourself how you are. You can express yourself with what you wear, I think. And the blog is mainly about like music and fashion, art, and my life, I guess, like every other blog. But it's fun to show my friends and my family and people who are interested in that, what I do, what I like. Yeah.
Going out in Newcastle is quite a famous place to go for a night out, and there's lots of hen do's and stag parties and, you know, girls' weekends away, because it's quite cheap to go out in Newcastle. Lots of bars are concentrated in one area, so that you don't have to travel between the bars, and there are lots and lots and lots of bars to choose from, even though it's a smallish city compared to London. I really like going out in Newcastle because you don't need to plan where you're going out. You can just go to one bar, the next bar is next door, and you don't have to walk a great deal. Well, Newcastle's in the north of England, and it's not really the warmest of places, but there's a stereotype, I think, around Europe that people from Newcastle don't wear coats or suitable clothing when they go out. Even though it is quite cold usually, especially late at night. And you will see lots of girls without coats wearing dresses and boys just wearing t-shirts, even though it's really cold outside. But I think that's part of the fun. And when I go out in London, I would always take a coat. But when I go out in Newcastle, if I take a coat, my friends from Newcastle say, "Lisa, why do you have a coat on?" I wonder if people in Newcastle started not wearing coats because all the bars and all the places you want to go are concentrated in a small area. As long as you get to town okay and get picked up or get a taxi home, then you don't really need a coat because you're not outside so much. So in a way it kind of makes sense.
It was about 3 weeks ago. We had the village fete. It happens once a year in Shamley Green, where I live. It's a very small village. To give you an idea, we've got one shop and 2 pubs and a cricket green in the middle of the whole lot. And the fete happens on the cricket green. So you basically, it's all proceeds go to charity, and we were all asked as neighbours in the village to donate something for the raffle. So a bottle of whatever, a box of chocolates, box of biscuits, things like that. So you have things like face painting for the kids and coconut stalls. The dog show is always a winner. And they had things like, you know, handsomest hound, prices for that, and all these different ones. Also, there was a display where the kids the week before in the primary school had made scarecrows. So there was a scarecrow judging competition from all the scarecrows from the school for that week. Also relay races with the kids and donkey rides for the children, and, you know, the raffle, just various bits and pieces, and a few stalls where you can buy jams and breads and, you know, cheeses, different things like that. But I think all proceeds go to charity, so it's a good day out. It goes on for the whole day on a Saturday, and we had quite good weather, so it was nice.
But in London, because it's a huge city and you need to in London, because London is so big and there's so many places to choose from, and there's always a new hip bar or new restaurant or place to be seen. I think when you're going out, you plan your night out much more, and you decide exactly where you're going, and you think, okay, how do I get from here to there, etc. So I think you need to wear a coat just because, and often you're travelling on the tube. In Newcastle, taxis are much cheaper. In Newcastle, taxis are much cheaper, and the distance that you're going is probably a lot shorter. But in London, you're often travelling by tube because taxis are expensive. The traffic is much worse than in Newcastle, and you probably want to go a further distance. So I think things like wearing a coat, wearing sensible shoes, you have to factor these things into your plans when you decide to go out at the weekend.
Hello guys, it's Grant. Just calling about this weekend and Tilly's birthday party. Unfortunately, our youngest daughter is not feeling very well, so we are going to have to cry off. Really sorry about this, and sorry about the late notice. Do give our love to Tilly, and we've sent a card, so hopefully that will arrive in time. Sorry again, and hope to catch up soon. Take care. Bye now.
Hi Claire, it's Lisa. I'm just phoning to say that I won't be able to meet you at 6 on Thursday. I just found out that I have to stay late at work for a meeting. Could we meet at 7? And we can still meet at the Grey Horse, but just an hour later than planned. Let me know if that's okay. Bye! Hi Simon, it's Lisa. I'm just phoning because, as you know, we moved at the weekend, and we're going to have a party next Friday. I hope you can come. Just come anytime between 7 and 8. Don't worry about bringing anything. We'll have loads of food and drinks. And yeah, bring your girlfriend. Okay, I hope you can come. Let me know. Bye.